evening, everyone. Welcome to ULTV Study Abroad 101. I'm Shifali Srivastava, Marketing and Communication Manager at University 11. In the past few weeks, we have talked a lot about choosing a country, a course, and acing your application and the entrance exams. Today's session is tailored more towards for the students who are planning to study abroad in Canada. We are joined by Vineet Bajaj, Regional Manager, South Asia and Mauritius at Algonquin College of Applied Arts and Technology to share more information. Welcome, Vineet.
Thank you, Shifali. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedule. So Vineet comes from 15 years of experience across India and Australia and Canada, from financial services to higher education management. It's a huge journey, I must say.
It certainly is. And I think had I not worked in the financial sector in Australia, I wouldn't have understood the real value of money. And I would also say what it takes for a parent to save all their life to bring this day to light for their children. I've always felt that it's a collaborative aspiration and work of a parent and a child. And, with God's grace, I've also had the experience and I've been blessed to be an international student myself in Australia, precisely in Sydney. And I think times don't really change when it comes to international students and international higher education space for an Indian student. Challenges, initial time as you get into a new country, all of this remains very similar, whether it was my time back in the day or today. And I am very proud, passionate, and happy to be a part of the higher ed space here in India. And every student that I guide to go abroad and study is absolutely a blessing that I feel I am gifted with. And I absolutely love my job.
Thank you so much, Vineet. And you have actually painted it really right that still most of the things are similar for a student who's studying abroad, maybe some time back and today. But what has changed during this time period is that we have a lot of information available on internet. We have a lot of good counselors like you and people from different universities and colleges to help these students to make their decision right. Correct? Now, I'll start our session with the very important question, which I'm going to ask, and I'm sure you also know. What makes Canada as like one of the very famous student, abroad destination? How would you describe a Canada for a student destination?
Well, Canada, the first thing that you think about Canada, that comes to your mind when you think about Canada is the safe and secure environment that a country provides you, because it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of, thinking that goes into all of this, and reliance of a parent to actually invest a huge amount of money into the future of their child. And the utmost thing that they would always look for would be the safety of their child. And Canada, I believe, even if we look at the overall offerings from around the world, Canada happens to be a very safe and secure country, a very friendly country, and very open to South Asians, if I may particularly, segregate a part of the world. It is very, very open and welcoming to people, particularly I'm born and brought up in India, to Indian students. So safety and security on a global index, I would say employability. It is absolutely very, very employable country. It is conducive to the students while they are studying and post their education in terms of having a long-term career perspective or a goal, if they may think of that in future. So that I believe is offered by Canada. And again, because there is a huge investment that has gone into it in terms of money, it is also the quality of education that matters a lot to a parent, to a student. Canada does have a very strong qualitative attribute to every education that it provides as well. If we analyze on a global platform, Canadian education is considered to be one of the top class around the world. And, that is very important for a parent to be satisfied that the money that they're putting, the time, and of all the countries, there is quite a lot of great options in the market. We have Australia, that I am an alumni of. We have we have the UK, we have United States, we have New Zealand. Of all these options, I would say Canada sits quite high in the list and has quite a lot of strong attributes that it offers to a student who wants to come and study in Canada.
Right. So high hopes for Canada. And of course, it's true. Like Canada has been winning the happiest index, correct? For a
Yes,
very long time.
it has been
And
a while,
there
yes.
are many different factors. And you also mentioned a lot about career opportunities available at Canada. I'll definitely circle back to that point in further session. Now, it's important that what factors one should consider when we are studying abroad. And we have already covered like courses, country, and all that. But I'm sure there are other factors as well to consider. Can you please elaborate few points over there?
What comes to my mind, as the very first factor, Shefali, which I think should not be compromised at any point, is the quality of education that is offered at the institution that you are headed to. Program of study that you've chosen. Either it should be exactly the program that you're looking for, because we do study quite a bit. If I talk about in India, we do have this usual standard that you do your high school, then you would do your bachelor's, then you do your master's. So keeping all of that in mind, the quality of education absolutely sits on number one priority for me. Then the program that you've taken should be of your choice. If not exactly the same program, it should be something which is very closely in alliance or related to the program that you actually wanted to choose. There shouldn't be a lot of digression or compromise on the program that you actually wanted to study, because I am absolutely privileged to meet some students who are so focused that they not only know the program of their choice, they also know the career path. And these 2 years of the pandemic have given people time to research so much that today, when I meet a student, it's only been 2 years, but I have seen a huge transformation in student body in the last 2 years. They are so well researched. They are so focused on what they're looking for and why have they chosen a particular institution. And it is a great feeling when a student would come and tell me that, okay, I've chosen Algonquin because of this program, because of its location, and because of these factors. So I don't have to tell them, I don't have to apprise them about what Algonquin offers. They've already done the groundwork themselves so well, which is a very good feeling. You always like to have people coming your way who know why they're doing and what they're doing. So it is quality of education definitely for the first. Then I would say the location of the institution has increasingly formed an integral part of where you are headed to study. Why I give a lot of due importance to the location is purely because the location of the institution has two other very important factors sort of sitting on top of it. And they are the population of the town where your uni or college is, which may have some implications, because if you don't focus on the location and the population, there are other implications that you may be sort of circle by in future. And the implications that I'm talking about are the two most important ones that every student or parent would at some point think about. And that is the living costs and the job prospects while studying and after studying. This is so much time, thought, money, all of this is going. Why? Because you want a good resultant at the end. And these are the factors that should be thought like this on the level of priority. And I would once again reiterate: quality of education, location of the institution, population of the place where your school is, and the other two factors: how is the living expense and the job prospect post study as well, not only while studying. Because while studying as a student, I have done all kind of jobs which I was very open minded about. You could be working at a supermarket as a cashier, what we call a checkout operator in the Western world, and that is not your final destination. But you are only doing that as an exploration. You are only doing that to understand that country well. So with all of these factors in mind, you are definitely going to land up at the right place if you give due importance to all these factors: quality, location, population of the town, and living costs and job prospects. I think the list can, of course, go on depending on the preference of a student or a parent. But to me, as having been an international student, I wouldn't really think outside of at least these 5 factors. At least if these 5 factors are ticking the boxes for me, I would proceed with that option.
So this is the basic checklist that a student should definitely have
Absolutely.
before going to any course.
I would say that because, and that's why I was saying that from my times to the times today, the checklist remains the same. There isn't a lot more to add to it, because if you look at these factors, these are the bullet factors, but they do have some subsets as well inside them, which may not be exactly what I'm talking about, but they are a part of each of these factors. So you will be covering those tiny factors as well if you give importance to these 5 factors.
True, the basics are same throughout the time, so that's
Hmm.
there. And you all did you mention that people during this pandemic time things have changed, like they have grown, they have been more matured, if I talk about students, because they have started doing research. And it's really important, we've already covered this part in our previous sessions, that how important is due to your research and your groundwork, because you just can't go on a word of one person, you have to definitely check 10 other points. What might be right for your friend may not be right for you. So
Absolutely, and the choice is very big. The
yeah,
pool is huge. It's country, it's school, it's program. Then let's see what are the factors that guide you, or should I say, influence you. Recruitment agents in the market, all the information available on the web, all the information available on the websites of schools and colleges and universities around the world. So once we absorb all this in our head, then to refine and finally make that one choice, I can understand is not an easy task.
true. So you mentioned pandemics. A lot of things have changed during pandemics. Do you have any kind of policy which has changed, maybe on the based on new variants, or maybe during the time of the pandemic?
So I'd probably answer this question the other way, that there are not any new policies that have come into the play. However, there are some policies and guidelines that were there earlier as we sort of entered the first intake of 2022. That was our winter intake. To now, the May intake. This afternoon itself, I just had a very heavily attended pre-departure orientation in the state of Punjab, which is one of our very big markets at Algonquin as well. So what I was telling the students was, clearly, rules have eased a bit, but there are things that you still need to be very, very clearly following. And they are, you don't have a necessary quarantine requirement. However, if you were to be asked for a random test at a port of entry in Canada, port of entry in Canada is likely to be Toronto, Montreal, or Vancouver. If you're asked for a random testing of COVID, and if you turn positive in the result of the test, then you will be asked to quarantine. That is why it is still mandatory to have a quarantine plan as a backup, as a contingency, should you be required to quarantine. But it is not a mandate that you will have to now quarantine. So this is what has changed from from the last intake to this intake. And I think in times to come, we'll see further ease of these rules, also having some of the restrictions lifted further. So this is still something that the students need to be aware of, that for the May 2022 intake or the near future, because some institutions may have an intake before starting before May, probably towards the end of April, or some may have soon after the month of May as well. So I think right now, this is what they need to be aware, that quarantine is not a mandate, but should you turn out with a positive result of COVID, you will be asked to quarantine. So you should have a quarantine plan. And then, of course, the Arrive Can app that students should be aware of is a government requirement. You need to fulfill the form on the app, and you should be complying by that requirement of the Government of Canada.
Great, great. Of course, it's very important for any person, whether it's a student or any human being. If you do realize that you have some symptoms, now I'm sure people have realized that how important it is to identify the symptoms and make yourself quarantine.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's for the safety of you and others.
Right, right. So now I'll come to the main part of the question, where we drill it down this whole session to a more narrowed approach. What makes Algonquin College really unique from other colleges and universities?
So again, I would go to the factors. It's not because I am proud to be a part of Algonquin community, but it, in true sense, in every sense, Algonquin does provide you the benefits of a location, where in the capital city of Canada. It does, on top of that, provide you great work opportunities, both while you're studying and after you finish your studies, after you successfully graduate out of Algonquin College. And very, very important, in the silos, cities in the world that are more famous than the others are getting crowded. When we talk about Australia, the first thing that comes to our mind is a Sydney or a Melbourne. There are great cities in Australia as well that people think about. When we talk about Canada, what comes straight away to our mind is a Toronto or a Vancouver. There are great cities outside of these two as well. So what is important today is, and what makes Algonquin unique, is its location, number one. Number two, the great opportunities that that city offers you in terms of work, in terms of your lifestyle. Because look, you are going there to study. However, it is important for a student to also understand that, yes, after your initial 10, 15 days, a fortnight, a month, you will be settled in that country, and you will be looking for more deeper factors like a decent lifestyle, a good balance between the three things that you will have to manage. And that is going to be your college, your part-time job, your home shores, and then of course you've got to take some rest as well. Algonquin does offer you all of that. Things are structured in such a way that you'll blend very well into the city and the college, and you'll be able to multitask and manage things on your own. And that's why we have a set number of students that we take. We're not looking to really increase that anytime soon. We are often talked about in the market for having our programs going waitlisted very, very quickly. It's a good problem to have, but that is the reality of Algonquin, because it offers you something which you're really in the lookout of. And that's why Algonquin is unique in its own sense.
This itself makes it really interesting that there is a wait list on the program. So that shows that what kind of quality education is present over there. You mentioned courses in the previous part also in our conversation. I know it's a difficult question, but this is my favorite question with all the uni reps. So if I want to ask you, what are the top courses at the college? Which will be your
I,
favorite and top?
I wouldn't say favorite. It's like I would say each of the programs offered at Algonquin is favorite, but the list is too big. It's 180 programs, so all cannot be favorite. Let's accept the fact. You'll
Right.
obviously find some programs more sort of having takers than the others. You'll find some programs having a better outcome when we talk about employability than the others. So facts are going to be facts, and based on that, I would simply say what comes to my mind as the very first program is going to be computer programmer, which has not only a great employability, but a great graduation success rate at Algonquin College. Then we've got, we're very well known in not only the province of Ontario, but across the country for our health programs. And what comes to my mind the moment I talk about health is a program of practical nursing. Practical nursing is one of our great programs. Sometimes you'd see students waiting for 2, 3 intakes as well. And not only would they wait for 2 to 3 intakes, what is absolutely heartwarming is they would want to come to Algonquin after waiting as well, even if it's offered at another alternate location. No, they want to come to Algonquin. So again, great situation to be in. Not an easy one to handle, but great situation to be in. International business management, that's one of our very, very sought after postgraduate certificates that we get a lot of demand for from our BCom, BBA, and the commerce side of students in India. Then marketing management is a great program with a wonderful career path ahead of it. And I would also have to give a lot of weightage to building information and modeling design that receives a lot of demand from the construction and civil background students. And because I have to, of course, refine this list for you, last but not the least, I would say business intelligence and system infrastructure, which is one of our very, very fast moving and sought after IT programs, which usually people take with a mindset of data. Whenever data comes in their mind, sciences, mining, data mining, this is what they would like to choose at Algonquin College. And we're very proud to have that. We're proud to say that we have a 94% graduation rate at Algonquin College as an average, and that's why we are who we are.
That's a huge benchmark, I must say. And now I understand that we were discussing before this whole session started that how Canada is becoming really popular among these STEM students. Now I understand with your waiting list of the nursing course, so
Mm,
of course it does make sense. Now you mentioned that it's always a waiting there is a waiting list for most
mm,
of your programs because
mm.
you take a set number of people,
Yeah,
students intake.
yeah.
What are the requirements to get enrolled? Like, what should be the how should I get enrolled in Algonquin?
Yeah, so we're looking at a very moderate, 65% as an overall aggregate. If you're coming from, let's say, you're coming from Punjab, Haryana, or Gujarat, we're looking at 65% and a 60 minimum mark in every subject. We're looking at a 60% overall if you're coming from anywhere else in India, or if you're coming from a CPS board. If you're coming from a bachelor's degree, our requirements are usually 55 to 60%. We do have a set backlog limit as well that we accept up to 10. So these are the basic requirements that we have. Then we've also got to very strictly keep a watch to maintain a certain level, of quality. We do pay a lot of attention to the English requirement. Algonquin College at this point from South Asia does not take, very preferably, we don't take students with a score less than a 6 band, except for the countries that are non-SDS. So for all the SDS countries that come under the study direct stream, we only take students at a 6 band, a minimum in every module for our undergraduate programs, and a 6.5 overall with no bands less than 6 for all our postgraduate offerings and our health programs. So we do have, in some ways, a little higher requirement than some schools. But then I think it's a free market, so schools have decided their own parameters, and this is what Algonquin's benchmark of eligibility currently sits at.
Great, does make sense. Now it's really important. You have already mentioned in the starting that job opportunities are very much available at the location that where the college is, of
Mm,
course, at the college, and you guys provide a good balance between this whole.
mm.
This is actually the ultimate point where what a student wants to achieve. They want to study abroad, they want to secure a good job over there, and they want to earn into dollars and pounds and euros. So what kind of career support and other programs are available to kickstart the careers for these
So
students?
I wouldn't say there are programs. Of course, we do have career building workshops that do take place at Algonquin College. We have a section specially called Employment Services, and what we help with. Let's look at these things in greater detail. So we do help students with resume building, because a resume that you send to prospective employers in India may look very different from a resume that goes out to your prospective employers in Canada. That's one. Then, of course, we help students very proactively with their co-ops as well. And co-op is sometimes such a blessing that, if you do well at your co-op, if you've secured good results post your co-op, and the employer is looking for, new employees or new roles to fill, I think it's a win-win for both. The employer does not need to look elsewhere, and you've got a ready employer who you've worked with already. You know the people there, you know the systems there, you know the company policies. So that does happen quite a lot. That we do have a wonderful success rate, not only off co-op, but students getting longer term employment at the same places where they once went for co-op. So this does play a very strong role, a vital role, should I call it, in the future plans of students when we talk about their career and the future settlement in their career.
True, and in fact, this is what makes study abroad experience completely different. Whenever, I'm sure many people might hate me, but in India, we do not get the practical approach and knowledge that we need compared to. So that's why most of the people now, especially Gen Z, is moving abroad to study abroad. Many millennials are also going back over there. So that's what makes unique this whole experience. Now I'll ask you one question, which I'm sure you're gonna love it. Picture is always rosy from the other side. as I mentioned, of course, these are the parameters which makes study abroad destination more experience more better, because you get more practical knowledge. But these are not always the good side. This is the good side. There is always a con to the whole thing. So what are the challenges of studying abroad and settling over there?
Uh, Again, this is going to be a very vast topic to discuss. There is a very long list. However, we can definitely refine it into some factors, which again I feel. Just this afternoon when I was doing the pre-departure orientation, some parents were really making it was great to see that parents were taking notes when I was talking about certain challenges that they may face. Because again, the blessing in my case is that been there, done that. So whether it was Australia for me and it's Canada for the students that I work in day out and day in with, and frankly, I wouldn't even shy away in saying that uh, the reality of my life is that my heart lies in Australia because that is my second adopted home, and my head lies in Canada because that's my living, that's my workplace, right? So the challenges are very similar. I would talk first and foremost about the initial adjustment or transformation, as I may call it, that a student has to go through. It may look very easy that you land in a country, you just, explore the place, and in a few days you're found settled. That's as easy as it may sound, but really in this, there are so many parts to it. And, these are for someone, these may just be words that they've heard of or things that they've seen written in an article. But these are realities that a student will have to go through and will have to come out of all this with flying colors. And they are as simple as, I may say, jet lag. Jet lag may just sound very simple to someone, but jet lag can take about 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes a little longer as well. Depends what time of the year you're going to Canada, right? Weather. There are some parts, let's talk about India, Canada transformation. There are some parts of India that don't see winters at all. Let's talk about down south of our country. Let's talk about Cochin in Kerala, right? From there to Canada is a huge transformation. Your body is bound to actually, act in a very funny manner when you take such a huge transformation. And depends how well are you prepared to take that transformation. What sort of gear are you carrying along with you? Clothing that you're carrying with you. Then because these may sound like very basic things, but then if you're not well prepared, these become the biggest challenges for you.
They create a
Then
lot of difference.
there is a lot of difference. I mean, usually three that I always talk about, it is jet lag, it is weather, and another funny one, and that is the habit of converting Canadian dollars into Indian rupees every now and then when you go out, either grocery shopping or even if you're having a meal at a KFC or a McDonald's. I've done that. For me, it was Australian dollar to Indian rupees. For my students, it's going to be Canadian dollar to Indian rupees. So that does happen as well. And it sometimes takes very long for you to come out of that habit, right? I think the benchmark for that is when you start earning, even on a part-time 20 hours job, when you start earning in Canadian dollars, that's the time when you sort of start coming out of that mental, I wouldn't call it a block, but a mentality probably that, okay, well, I'm in Canada now, so my expenses are also going to be in Canadian dollars, right? That's there. Then challenges that people take time to adjust in is not only finding part-time jobs, also adjusting in a part-time job. It's to someone, it may be very simple, but to someone, the same simplicity or a simple factor may become very complex depending on your background. I'm going to talk about a very simple factor, and that is accent. Understanding people. Imagine that you're selling coffee at a Tim Hortons that is referred to as Timmy's in Canada, right? And you don't understand what the other person's come and asked for, right? How would you handle that situation? So you've got to take time, and slowly your head gets programmed into each of these factors. Then, we talked about it a bit earlier. Your resume, a resume in India may look very different from a resume that you will be making for your own same credentials, same profile in Canada. And the challenge there is, or when you actually unleash the challenges, that you've been applying for jobs and you're not getting a lot of success. And then all of a sudden someone comes and guides you and says, well, okay, well, the format that you're using is not quite what an employer here is used to seeing. And that's when you change, and you slowly start seeing progress happening in your case. So that's there. then like I said, I mean, it's a very long list, and to refine it, I would have to sum it up on uh, the balance of daily life. I mean, what I mean to say when I say balance in daily life or balance of daily life is same 24 hours a day, Shafali. But you know, let's take an example of a Indian student. You have domestic helps, you have people for different jobs in your very own house. Let's not even go outside of your house. And over here, now that you've come to Canada, you do not only daily chores on your own of your house, you cook, you clean, you do whatnot, everything yourself. In addition to that, you've got to manage your uni, your college. You've got to manage your assignments, work given at the college. You've got to manage your part-time job, right? Commuting to and from work. And last but not the least, I mean, out of this 24 hours, it seems to be, less time on hand, but you've got to take out at least, if not the luxurious 8 hours, you've got to take out at least about 6 hours to sleep as well, right? To be available for the same daily routine on the next morning as well. So this is what I would call the short and concise challenge list that every student should be in anticipation prepared for, so that when they're embracing Canada as a country, they don't find something absurd or abnormal. This is bound to happen, and they should be prepared mentally for it and physically as well. It may be initially a little difficult to transform, but it isn't impossible. It does take time, to some less, to some more, but I have seen a very large number of students transform. I was once myself there. So, that's what I would say are the challenges.
Thank you so much, Vineet. You have pictured in a very simple language, very simple points, but these all points are actually really, really big points if you see from the other side of the table. And like seriously, like jet lag sounds very cheesy, might be, I might say, but it is true. People have to adjust a lot, and then of course you have to do a lot of chores. In India, we are always dependent on our mom, our dads. Over there, it's all you, and you have to do it. We see a lot of Instagram reels around this. I don't do anything back at home, but if you want Canada, this is, or any other place in the world, you have to do all your things. You have to be independent and you need to
Well,
be ready for that.
time shows you the real value of the help that you had in India. I mean, you come back from your college and you're sitting in the living room of your house. You just turn on the TV, and all of a sudden, 15 minutes later, you start feeling grumpy in your stomach and you're hungry, and you realize that no one's going to come and serve you the food on the platter here. You've got to go and cook yourself, right? And you are in a classroom filled with students, and you are sort of falling left, right. Why? Because you are still going through your body is still going through the jet lag clock, and you were used to sleeping at this hour back home in India, while you're doing a class now in Canada, in Ottawa. So this is the change. I mean, human brain is a great creation by the God Almighty, but it does take time to program as well.
Yeah, 21 days, that's the key.
I would say at least. I would say at least.
Right. And we should always look at the ultimate goal in the bigger picture. There is always hardship. It is not if the path would have been that easy, every would have been succeeded so far.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And then, if you, once you come out of these challenges and you've gone through that transformation, Shafali, when you look back, it is a wonderful feeling. That is one message I would like to give to every listener to this particular chat show that we're doing here, that once you look back, whether it is after 2 years or whether after it is after 10 years, you will be very proud of yourself that, those were the days and today are the days, and you've come out of all of this and you've managed it all single-handedly. And that is a wonderful thing.
True. Comfort has never led anyone to a successful road. So thank you, Vineet. And on this note, on this wonderful note, we'll end our session today over here. Thank you so much again for taking out time from your busy schedule. Thank you, listeners who are watching this. You can join us later on again next Friday at 5 p.m. Stay tuned on our social media channels to get more information. And if you have any news you want to know more, just write in the chat box. We'll be happy to help you with that. Thank you, Vineet.
Thank you for having me. And I wish great success to University Living and the students associated. And thank you for having us today.
Thank you. Looking forward to see you in our next webinar soon.
All the best.
Thank you, guys.